Okidoki, buenas tardes, Corillete. We are back. We are back. Okay. We are doing good. This is officially doing good. I like this. I like this. I like this. Ok. Déjame cambiar aquí. Pops. Scenes. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Buenas. How are we doing? How are we doing? Corillete. Bueno. We are back. We are back playing some Super Mario 64 today. El único issue que tengo es que voy a comenzar este stream de una manera un poquito diferente. Hoy vamos a comenzar haciendo un review de 3 cosas que yo vi en esta semana. Primero, vamos a hablar de Marty Supreme. La película estuvo demente, absolutamente loca. Y siento que merece ser discutida at length. Así que lo voy a hacer en inglés. Esos primeros 2 segmentos van a ser en inglés porque obviamente lo estoy usando para poder populate my YouTube. So, primero que lo que vamos a hacer es hablar de Marty Supreme. Vamos a hablar de nuestras primeras impresiones, lo que nosotros esperábamos. Obviamente del Timothée Chalamet tenemos que hablar de ese performance que fue absolutamente loco y demente, la manera en que él logró comandar tantas emociones y una persona tan horroríficamente machista, definitivamente way in over his head. Y cómo logró hacer que todos los momentos en el que él salía en la pantalla fuesen intencionales y no necesariamente flashy. Él no estaba tratando de ser alguien que él no es. O sea, he was genuinely trying to create the illusion that this was a absolute horrible human being, que es lo que es. Y obviamente vamos a hablar de cómo el marketing strategy de esa película en específico logró ser una parte esencial de que todo el mundo fuese a ver la película. Marty Supreme Christmas Day. Ellos literalmente no se copiaron, pero tomaron inspiración del viral marketing campaign que hizo Christopher Nolan con The Dark Knight y lo adaptaron a este nuevo proyecto. Entonces, después de hablar de Marty Supreme, vamos a hablar de Avatar Fire and Ash, que también salió en diciembre, estuvo brutal. Vamos a hablar de lo que hizo bien, de lo que hizo mal y del bigger picture, ya que sabemos que James Cameron no va a estar haciendo todo no va a estar haciendo todo ¿sabes? No va a estar haciendo todo el full play out de la... ¿Cómo se dice esto? Connections. ¿Estamos connected? Ok, está todo funcionando. Está funcionando. ¿Is everything working? I hope everything is working. Ok, very good, very nice. Yes. Vamos a refresh. Vamos a darle refresh. No hay nuevos chats. Ok. Y después de eso vamos a hablar del bigger picture de las películas 4 y 5, que ya sabemos que James Cameron le va a dar el control creativo de esas películas a otra persona si él no logra poder hacerlo. Entonces, después de que hablemos de Avatar Fire and Ash, vamos a culminar este segmento del medio hablando de Ghost of Yotei, que fue un excelente juego. I absolutely loved it. Y tomé la decisión de jugarlo privadamente. Usualmente yo streameo todos los juegos que yo, ¿sabes? Todos los momentos en los que yo estoy jugando, usualmente yo los grabo. Y este fue el primer juego que en mucho tiempo, más de un año, que yo literalmente lo jugué solito, solamente para poder disfrutarme la historia, poder chupeteármela y después hablarles concretamente de lo que me gustó, de lo que no me gustó y de lo que yo 100% pienso que es uno de los mejores juegos de los 2020s. Y quiero que sepan que después de hablar toda esa mierda, me voy a cosplayar de Mario, me voy a postear como si fuese Super Mario y vamos a jugar un level completo de Super Mario 64. Ahora mismo ya nosotros en el primer stream logramos acabar Bob-omb Battlefield y en este nuevo juego, en este nuevo año, vamos a tratar de terminar todos los juegos de Mario, no necesariamente en orden, pero en el orden que más me guste a mí. Así que prepárense, estamos ready. Déjame cambiar el category. El platforms, el stream Twitch title. Quítale el tag. Vamos a ponerle Super Mario. Super Mario 64. Okidoki. Ya le salvé esto. Super Mario Gaming. Ok. Nice cock. Okidoki. Tengo entendido que ya estamos set. Se supone que todo es hello. What's up, mi hermano? Happy New Year. How you doing, brother? ¿Cómo te sientes, mi hermano? ¿Todo bien? ¿Todo cool? ¿Todo chilling? ¿Todo copaesthetic? ¿Cómo estamos? Ok, ya esto se cambió sin yo ponerle esto. The average stream bitrate is too high. Tú me dices si se ve muy fuerte. Tú me dices si el juego, si el stream se ve muy mierdita. Tú me dejas saber, por favor, mi hermano. Super Mario 64. Está bien, gracias a Dios. Amén, 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 amén. Perfect, perfect. Good, good, good. Dice average bitrate is too high. Ok. Ok. That's fine. That's fine. We can fix it. We can fix it later. Si se ve bien es lo que más importa. Eso es lo que se va. Eso es lo que en realidad me da peace of mind. Ok. Vamos a comenzar con nuestro primer segment. Hablar de Marty Supreme. Déjame quitar la musiquita. Es más, les voy a dejar la musiquita bajita para que la puedan escuchar. Y puedan, tengan alguito para escuchar en lo que yo yapeo con cojones de Marty Supreme, de Avatar Fire and Ash y de todo lo que vamos a hablar ahora. Alright. Pues la primera parte de este stream va a ser nosotros hablando de Marty Supreme. Voy a cambiar a inglés. Porque obviamente esto va para mi YouTube de inglés. Así que let's get cracking. Si quiere, XB Channel, le puedes dar ahí, le puedes decir hola YouTube. Le puedes decir hola YouTube. Y everything will work out majestically well. Ok, vamos a hacer esto. Offline recording. El green screen. Vamos a hacerle un cambiecito aquí. Sources. Excelente. Vamos aquí a esto. Vertical source. Hola YouTube. Sí, dude. Estamos latinos going wild. Eso es exactamente lo que estamos haciendo. Déjame asegurarme de que esto esté funcionando bien. Porque si no funciona, me voy a lamber. Ok, voy a quitarle aquí esto. Le voy a poner el background multi-capture. Excelente. Y entonces, ¿qué es lo que vamos a hacer aquí? Ajá, hot swappable pics. No quiero eso. Tampoco quiero eso. Ok, pero ¿por dónde está el blurred? ¿Dónde está el blurred green screen? This seems to be an issue right here. Pero voy a hacer esto ahora. Dame aquí, pap. Estamos aquí en Source Clone. ¿Dónde está esto? Me disculpo porque I should have done this ages ago. Ok, vamos aquí. Desktop with blur. ¡Bingo! Bingo. Llegamos. Lo tengo marcado. Sí, para la próxima todo va a estar bien. You finish your military contract in 3 weeks. Eso es la que es, mi hermano. Hell yeah. Congratulations, brother. Congratulations. Amen. You did that, bro. You did that. Which is crazy. Eso está caro, para que lo sepa. Como que, like, the fact that you did that is nuts. Tú eres el duro. Que nadie te diga lo contrario. Ok. Excelente. Estamos ready to go. Alright. Pues vamos a empezar a record. Alrighty. Ok, yo me voy a quitar esto porque me veo horrible con esta mierda. Pero everything will make sense in due time. Ok, vamos a hablar de lo primero que vamos a hablar. Marty Supreme. Déjame poner el trailer aquí para yo poder comenzar este segmento. Voy a poner esto aquí y voy a poner esto acá. 4 años completos. Dude, that is wild. Quiero que sepa que that is really wild. That is really wild. Pero vamos a hablarle aquí esto. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that we are going to talk about today in today's beautiful stream is none other than Marty Supreme, okay? The first impressions and the expectations couldn't have been farther away from what I experienced, okay? Going in, The only real info that I had was that Josh Safdie was going to make a video with Timothée Chalamet in the 1950s, focused on a 1950s table tennis hustler. Focused on a 1950s table tennis hustler. Y lo que A24 delivered was nothing like I could have experienced. And what A24 delivered is nothing. And what A24 delivered was nothing like what A24 delivered was nothing like what I was expecting. And that A24 was treating it as their biggest original release ever. And that A24 was treating it as this biggest original release ever. Remember, this thing was reportedly like $70 million, bro. $70 million. Remember, this thing was reportedly linked to be like $70 million. So there was a lot riding on this movie. Okay, vamos a hacer esto. Eso es lo que me faltaba. Por eso es que estoy teniendo los issues. Linked change. Desktop showcase. Ok, vamos a hacer el desktop showcase. Vamos a ponerle el coso aquí. Ups, wow. Excellent. Excelente. Ok. La película te deja saber algo bastante fácil. Espérate, aquí está Tropivert Green Screen. Aquí está Link Screen, Linked Scenes. No quiero link it to nothing. I don't want to link it to nothing. Yes. No. Green screen. Yeah. Okay. The film is basically positioning itself as a character study, not a sports movie. The opening act is all about Marty Mouser and his relentless energy. He has a deep need to be seen and in an almost pathological sense of confidence, even when he's broke and working in a shoe store. Okay. Muy bien. Very nice. Very good. The tone is jittery, anxious, and darkly comic, with Safdie using the 1970s style character study aesthetic with handheld, with tight close-up shots and shallow focus to give us that feel of the 1950s, but set with a score from the 1980s. So it's a lot of new wave punk. So it's a lot of new wave, synthwave beats and post-punk. Ok, esta mierda está horrible. Pero todo está bien. Déjame ir para aquí a green screen, vertical sources. I'm going to change the background picture. I'm going to give it that. For the reporting. The pacing is honestly relentless from the beginning. The pacing is relentless from the beginning. Okay. It's mirroring Marty's own inability to sit still, and it gives him confidence. And the confidence of the filmmaking really lies on how it's refusing to explain Marty's psychology up front. Instead, it's dropping the audience into his chaotic mindset and forcing us to feel obsessed with his sense of desperation. And force us to be obsessed with his desperation. Muy bien. By the way, you're watching this like XV. Tú estás viendo esto literalmente from the jump. O sea, tú estás viendo me recording YouTube videos in my stream. You're the first one, bro. You're the first one to see it. So that's awesome. Vamos a hablar de Timothée Chalamet's performance, ¿ok? Déjame buscar otros visuales porque tengo más visuals. Aquí tengo esto. Voy a poner este video. Voy a poner esto. Voy a poner el coso con Timothée Chalamet. Y este cabrón. Mira esto. Boom. Vamos para el desktop, papi. Desktop Showcase. ¿Dónde está el Showcase? Desktop Showcase. Ya estás viendo esto, paps. Aquí estamos viendo a Jimmy Fallon y a Timothée Chalamet. ¿Dónde es? ¿Por qué esto está poniéndome? No, esto no es lo que yo quería. Yo quería que me pusieran el Desktop Showcase. Bingo. Aquí estoy yo. Ok. Aquí estoy yo. Vamos a ponerle aquí en el Vertical Scenes. Top down. Excelente. Nice cock. Ok. Vamos a hablar de Timothée Chalamet's performance. Ok. Timothée Chalamet's performance is intentionally made to be not as flashy in the traditional sense. It's all about his presence, his physicality, and a very specific sense of intensity that makes Marty feel magnetic and honestly pretty exhausting. That's nice. I think that's nice. His physicality is the key here. It's how he carries himself. The shoulders are back, the chin is up, always leaning into the room, and he's turning confidence into a kind of currency. His performance is selling the idea that Marty's entire identity is built on being seen as the best, even when he's objectively not the best person ever. Te voy a contestar ahora. Dame un segundo. Déjame cambiar esto aquí, Pops. A este video que tiene tremendos visuals también. I still remember watching your content when you reacted to art mashups. 100%. That was years ago. So we're starting from the bottom again, bro. We're starting from the bottom, and it's going to be a great ride. Trust me. It's going to be a great ride. Déjame ir acá a Just Chatting. Pops. Entonces, hablamos aquí. Timmy is really selling mystique over exposition by playing Marty as somebody who's always performing, even when he's alone. He doesn't need monologues to explain his ego because his posture, his speech, and his reactions are the things that sell you on what he's trying to communicate as a larger-than-life figure. Okay, that was nice. And you never doubted. I know you never doubted, brother. Aquí voy a hacer este segmento de aquí. I have a lot of different pictures. And stuff like that. Mira esto. Ooh, blueprint. Okay. Todo está abierto. Okay. I honestly think this ranks among his... Eso no era lo que yo quería decir, pero está bien. Vamos por acá. Perfecto. This ranks, in my opinion, as one of his best performances, if not his best one, because it's a total transformation. He's not playing a version of himself, but a very specific, abrasive, and 1950s and abrasive 1950s hustler aesthetic. Ok, vamos aquí, tenemos textures. Vamos ahora a Desktop Showcase. And he does it with a kind of... The crazy thing is, he's doing it with the crazy thing is that he's doing it with the kind of commitment that you would see from 1970s Al Pacino or Scorsese's Jordan Belfort. Somebody whose charisma is inseparable from his toxicity. Boom. Nice. But the thing that stands out the best, in my opinion... But the thing that stands out the best, in my opinion, is how he... Okay, espérate. But the thing that stands out the best, in my opinion, is the marketing. The marketing for Marty Supreme deliberately... The marketing for Marty Supreme deliberately told... Dame un segundo. Esta parte no es la que yo quería decir. Ajá. Aquí está. The marketing for Marty Supreme deliberately withheld almost all context from the movie. The trailers were seen sparsely and far between. The imagery was super selective, mostly Chalamet in character and a bunch of celebrities wearing the merch. And there was very little explanation for the plot or the tone of the film. They were, for all intents and purposes, trying to not give us any certain... They were, for all intents and purposes, trying to spoon-feed us information without the audience actually finding out that they're being spoon-fed. It basically leaned heavily on Timmy's persona. This thing leaned heavily. This thing leaned heavily into Timothée Chalamet's persona and viral moments, right? You had the giant ping pong ball on his head, the orange blimp, pop-up shots, and obviously the crazy-ass Zoom call that had the entire internet in a swivel. But this was not the first time that a marketing scheme of this scale actually... But this is not the first time that we have seen a marketing scheme of this scale. I don't know if you remember, but there's a lot of parallels between the way that this movie was marketed and The Dark Knight. Both of them were using viral ambiguity, minimal plot details, and a focus on a single iconic image, whether that be the Joker or Marty's face, to let the speculation and fan theories do most of the work. They were trusting that the audience would be drawn in by mystery rather than by the traditional, oh, here's the story, remember this before you see the movie. Trusting that the audience would be drawn in by the mystery rather than a traditional, oh, here's the trailer, enjoy the movie. It works even better. It works even better, in my opinion, when it comes to traditional marketing. It works even better than traditional marketing, at least in my opinion, because audiences are already oversaturated with trailers, leaks, and spoilers. So they were basically... So by creating this, by turning every single Marty Supreme thing, by turning every single Marty Supreme moment into an event, it made people feel like they needed to tune in to see everything that was going to happen. It made people feel like they had to tune in. It made people feel like they had to tune in or miss a key piece of the conversation before the movie even went into theaters. So the main question I got right now is, did this movie actually earn the hype? So the main question that I have for this movie is pretty simple. Did it earn the hype? Absolutely. There is no, absolutely. Absolutely. There is no way that you see this movie and you don't think, oh, this is one of the best performances of the year. First of all, the film absolutely delivered. Okay, espérate, no, textures. First of all, the film absolutely delivers on its core promise. It's riveting, it's funny, and it has a thrilling character study that really it has a thrilling character study that's impeccably cast, shot with a very distinct style, and Timothée Chalamet's performance is an Oscar-worthy one if I've ever seen it. And Timothée Chalamet's performance. Wait. Wait for a second. Ah, lo que me falta es el green screen. Ahaha. Ahaha. Yes. This is the real one. Aha, aquí está. And Chalamet's performance is Oscar worthy, no matter what anybody else tries to tell me. Whether this level of restraint may alienate, whether the restraint in giving us all of the detail may alienate some viewers in its refusal to soften Marty or make him out to be a more genuine person than he actually is, ultimately gives us a different type of ultimately gives us a character arc that I think will be worthy of being studied for generations. He is not getting the typical redemption arc. One of the main things that we need to establish is that one of the main things that you need to keep in mind before you watch the movie or even after you do is that Marty is, for all intents and purposes, an asshole. Okay. He remains fundamentally immature, self-centered, and the film asks us, the audience, to sit with that discomfort rather than giving us a clean, satisfying arc. The film's ambition is also justifying the mystique because it's not just a sports movie or a biopic. It is a very almost allegorical take on American ambition. It's toxic bravado and crazy confidence that gets you over the finish line without the main character really experiencing any level of growth almost at all. Confidence in this case is a form of currency, and that thematic confidence in Marty's case, yes, holy outtakes, yes. Yes, Andrew, you're watching everything. You're watching everything from the jump. You're watching the jump, literally. I'm recording all my videos for the week on stream, so everybody can see it happen. And then I'm playing Super Mario. So please keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Okay, what did I say here? Timmy's confidence in this movie is basically a form of currency, and it gives us that thematic depth that establishes a foundation for an all-time great performance. All right, so that was my takes. That was my little takes on Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme. Now we're gonna talk about Avatar. So let me go back to this. Hello, Andrew. How are you doing? XB, estamos haciendo ahora el video de Avatar. Okay, I stop recording here. Stop recording there. That is 1 week's worth of videos in literally 15 minutes. That's awesome. That's how we actually stay sane in this fucking game. Instead of starting to, watch everything and put out stuff immediately. I don't want to do that no more. Okay. Avatar. I actually really like Avatar. Okay, let's see which ones we have. We have this one for textures. And then we have that. We have this, and we have this. Okay, we have the desktop base. Nope, we're not using that. We're using this one because it's showcase. Aha! Bingo! I found it. I know exactly why it's being... linked transitions. Okay, no linked scenes. That's what we like. Okay, green screen. And then we go Sakura art. This is the one for here. Split screen is here. This one is for this one. And then we have gaming. But we're going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine. We're going to do textures. And then we're going to do this one. Perfect. This is the only one I actually need to show me where I am. And then after that, we're going to go into green screen. Boop, from green screen to just chatting. Awesome. There we go. Okay. Vamos a hablar de Avatar. Okay. What are we going to talk about in Avatar? What are we going to talk about with Avatar? Okay. So the first things that I'm going to talk about with Avatar are pretty simple. My first impressions, my expectations, my initial reaction, what it did well, where it fell short, and the bigger picture. I wrote that down. XV. I wrote that down. Okay, let's start here. Start recording. www.peak.com. Okay. Bottom top. All right. Avatar, Fire, and Ash. As soon as I came out of the theater, the dominant feeling that I had was absolute awe and honestly, disbelief at the visuals and the world building that I was experiencing. But honestly, I was a little bit more mixed when it comes to the narrative engagement and what it's trying to tell with its story. Do not get me wrong. This is a stunning, absolutely world-class technical achievement. But honestly, it doesn't land with the same emotional weight that the first two films did. And that's just my take. The visual highs are undeniable. The new, what's her, I forgot what the lady's name is. The Man Quan, I think. The fire lady, right? The new clan, the Fire Clan that we see in the movie, is completely, how do I say it? It's completely different to the Na'vi that we see in the first movie. They are manipulative. They are violent. The leader is getting freaky deaky with Colonel Quaritch almost immediately. They basically have completely forgotten their connection to Awa, and in this case, they have become the toxic volcanic wasteland Na'vi that are threatening everybody in this scenario. Okay. But the most important part, I think, from this section, the visuals, right, is how the 3D filmmaking has made Pandora feel more alive and alien than we have ever seen before. Okay. Vamos a hacer esto aquí. Let's talk about, I don't want to see him get freaky deaky all the time. Ajá, aquí está. Compared to The Way of Water, for example, Fire and Ash feels like a traditional action-adventure sequel, right? It has the straightforward set pieces, familiar character dynamics. It's giving us a couple extra moments, especially with Neytiri and with Jake, not only coming to terms with the fact that they lost a son, and now they actually have to make sure that the other surviving children are also deeply respectful and decent not human beings, Na'vi, members of the community, where Jake and Neytiri have to make sure that the surviving children are actually decent members of the Na'vi community. But while it's slightly a little bit more conventional in structure, what makes it a great spectacle is honestly the merging of the visuals and the audio. There's a couple of things that I think this movie did exceptionally well. Okay, vamos para textures. The world building, in my opinion, is absolutely exceptional. The film is introducing... Okay, wait. The world building in this movie is absolutely exceptional. The film is introducing the Ash people, the Wind Traders, each one with distinct cultures, aesthetics, and relationships to the environment. And it's deepening our relationship to Pandora's ecosystem in a way that we haven't really seen before. As a viewer, I had never felt such level of wonder with Pandora's ecosystem as I did here, because they showed us ultimately different types of the ways that the Na'vi experience life, with water, air, and in this case, volcanic ash. The environmental storytelling is also at an elite peak level. The design of the Manquan village inside a burnt great tree trunk, inside a burnt great tree trunk, was super detailed. And obviously you have an involvement, and obviously you have James Cameron's evolution in terms of his visual culture, and the techniques that he's using to make the water and the air feel like lived-in, breathable ecosystems. To me, the thing that makes this movie stand out the most, I think, is the visual mastery, right? The technical evolution of this film is clear, right? The VFX are on another level, the creature design has hit its peak, and the 3D cinematography is refined and polished. And this add on to that the fact that the sound design and the score are enhancing the immersion, and it makes every single aerial battle or large-scale action set piece underwater feel like one of the most thrilling moments of the entire franchise. This is an absolute masterclass in visual spectacle. The pacing and the choreography of the action are still good, in my opinion. I know some people had a lot of issues with the pacing, but I do feel like this is one of the best efforts at directing a large-scale, immersive blockbuster to the level and scale that, for example, Lord of the Rings would have done. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying as good as... I am not saying at all that this is as good as Lord of the Rings. Don't get me twisted. What I am saying is that the visual expertise in this movie is having it... that the visual expertise in this film will have it compete with some of the most visually advanced pieces of media out there forever. But there are a couple of areas in which this movie honestly takes a little bit of a tump. But there are a couple of moments but I am going to be honest, there are a couple of moments in this film where shit goes out the window, okay? But I'm going to be completely honest. Okay, medium zoom, big zoom, small zoom. Okay, babe. But I'm gonna be completely honest. There are a couple of moments where but I'm gonna keep it honest. There are a couple of moments where this movie straight up falls on its face. I wanted to discuss some of the pacing issues that were brought up by some of my friends in other parts of the film. Around the middle act, that's where the film feels like it's going through the motions of a franchise sequel, right? There are familiar story beats. The family's in danger. Quaritch is the wild card of the dude that's falling in love with the enemy territory queen. and the big action set pieces that can feel a bit repetitive to longtime fans of this epic. Okay. Some characters, in my opinion, feel a little bit underdeveloped. Some characters, in my opinion, feel a little bit underdeveloped. The new antagonist, Varang, the Manquan leader, and some of the supporting Na'vi characters don't get as much depth as they should. And the motivations can feel a little bit paper thin compared to the personal stakes that we had in the earlier movies. Boom. Finally, and I think this is the biggest sin for the film, is that the emotional beats don't land as strongly as they intended. There are some moments where tension and emotion is in full display, but they don't always hit with the same power of the first two films, because the story is so focused on setting up. But the emotional moments don't land with the same power as the first two films because of a very important reason. The story is so focused on setting up parts 4 and 5 of this saga that's wait. The film is so focused. This story is so focused on setting up the future installments in 4 and 5. This movie is so focused on setting up the future installments, particularly 4 and 5, that in some cases the immediate payoff This film is so focused on setting up parts 4 and 5 of this franchise that in some cases the immediate emotional payoffs to the things that we've been expecting for 3 years now feel secondary to moving the plot along, and therefore they fall completely flat. Ahí estamos. All right. So now we got to talk about the elephant in the room, the big picture for Avatars 4 and 5. I'm going to keep it a buck with you guys. Fire and Ash feels like a bridge more than a destination. It's clearly trying to set up some long-term arcs for the Sully family, Quaritch, and the larger conflict on Pandora. Which means that this was all about laying the groundwork instead of delivering something, which makes this movie feel like it was, which means that this movie was more about laying groundwork for 4 and 5 than delivering a self-contained climax with a clear, neatly tight bow. James Cameron seems to be setting up the themes of legacy, generational conflict, and the cost of war on both sides for an epic payout in 4 and 5. But it also means that this installment feels more about the franchise getting a foothold on what's coming next than it was about closing the loop on this particular story, which is the most important part of the entire franchise. Which is the most important part of the whole deal, because we're talking about the Sully family. This is the true risk of long-form franchise storytelling, right? If the later films don't deliver strong emotional payoffs, the whole arc can feel like a huge-ass Lego build-up without a satisfying conclusion. You're basically destroying the Jenga tower as soon as you get to the last brick. And there is the danger that this franchise can become more about spectacle and world building than it will be about characters and specific themes. And I know the original intent was for this to be a visual masterpiece, right? But I know that we've gotten to the level where this franchise, this world, offers so much possibility that not exploring these characters in depth feels like a huge disservice. So the main question we have, can Avatar... So here is the main question. Can Avatar maintain any form of cultural dominance? Remember, this is still a visual triumph and a major event for movies anywhere. It'll probably crack $1 billion within the next week and a half. its cultural dominance is probably going to shift from being a must-see phenomenon to being a beloved, long-running saga that appeals to fans of high-tech visuals rather than the motivated cinephiles that could make this a classic forever. So do I think this movie was worth the watch? Absolutely. I would give it roughly 7.5 or an 8. So was this movie actually worth the watch? Absolutely. If I were to give it a specific rating, I would put it at a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10. Because while it gave me visuals and a score that I will remember for a while, it did not hit all of the thematic and character moments that I was expecting to see on the big screen. All right. So all we got to do is hope for 4 and 5 and hope that they're actually better than this one. All right. So that's the end of the Avatar video. Very nice, great success. Do I want to talk about Ghost of Yote now or later? Let me know. XV, ¿quieres escuchar mis thoughts on Ghost of Yote en español? ¿O prefieres que simplemente me ponga a jugar Mario? Totally up to you, brother. Totally up to you. I'm gonna do it for you. So me da a saber, ¿quieres que hable de Ghost of Yote o quieres que me ponga a jugar Mario? Porque ahora puedo hacer mi full-on costume change. Let me know. Let me know what you guys want me to do. Ooh. Let's play some Super Mario, my man. Let's play some Super Mario. Okay. This is the moment you've been waiting for. This is the moment you've been waiting for, where I change my thing, where I change all of my outfits into the cosplay of the stream. So let me open this. Super Mario 64. MU. No. Which one was I using? Which one was I using? Ok. Vamos a ver. Aquí está. En el sí. Vamos a hacer esto. I'll get you, brother. Also, I have a podcast. I'd love to have you again. Sure, bro. Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out later. Déjame ver. Program files. Where is... Viendo a ver, where is this damn thing sitting? Where is it sitting? Project. Bingo. Okay. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to find it, brother. I'm trying to find it. Give me a second. Okay. ¿Dónde yo dejé los juegos? Streaming. Nope. I'll get it. ¿Dónde es que está esto? Where are my games? Where are my games sitting? I need to find them. Should have done this earlier. Let me see here. Where are the games? My games. Users. Here. Yes. Yes. Okay. I find. Where I find. Where I find. Oh my god. Okay, let me see where I can find these games. Okay. Games. ROM. I'm finding it. I'm finding it, my brother. I'm finding it. I'm trying to find it. I should have done this better, but hey, the next stream is going to be better. The next stream is going to be way better. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. Trust me, but trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. Okay. ¿Dónde está esto? ¿Dónde está esto? ¿Dónde está esto? Por favor, déjame saber dónde están. Okay, streaming setup. Nope. No están aquí. They're not here either. Let me see where they are. Let me see where they are. I'm trying to find them. I'm trying to find them. I'm trying to find them. Nope, they're not here. Diablo, ¿dónde yo puse los juegos? ¿Dónde yo puse los games? Aquí está. Bingo.
It's me, Mario! Hello!
Okay. Why is this happening? Okay, this is Project 64. Okay, we should be good. Let me see.
Start to play.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
Bingo.
Press start to play.
Ok, ahora vamos a hacer esto. Déjame ir acá. Paps. Déjame asegurarme de que esto está let me make sure that this is working. Let me make sure that this is working. Let me make sure this is working.
Yahoo!
Can you see it? Can you see everything, brother?
Press start to play.
Let us begin. Okay, gentlemen, ahora es que vamos. Okay, I'm gonna go change into my Mario costume. Arroz con leche. Ooh, yes. Please save me some arroz con leche. I would love this. I'm gonna change into my Mario costume and I'll be right back.
Press start to play.
Oh yeah, brothers. Okay. Acabamos de llegar.
Press start to play.
Giving you guys. Oh. Here we are. Listen, aquí tienen un Marioception. Aquí tienen el green screen in the back. You have me in the front. We have the Mario belly over here. Vamos a jugar Super Mario. Very exciting. Very exciting. Ok, corillo. Esto es lo que va a pasar en los próximos... en la próxima hora. Yo voy a estar jugando Super Mario 64. El goal de este stream series es poder completar todos los juegos de Mario. No necesariamente en orden, sino en el orden que más me apetezca a mí. Y yo quiero empezar con Super Mario 64 porque es de los mejores juegos de Mario ever. Posiblemente top 3. More than likely top 3. Y es de los que más nostalgia me dan porque solamente el 64-bit aesthetic con todos los diferentes worlds que uno puede visitar me tienen excited, ¿ok? Y yo quiero comenzar este journey jugando no tan solo Bob-omb Battlefield, pero vamos a ver después el segundo world bastante rapidito. Así que let's get started. Let's not fuck about. Vamos a empezar a jugar. We are perfectly situated. Yo, baby, yo. We are perfectly situated. Okidoki. We are ready to begin the journey. Vamos ahora para gaming. Oh Oh, come on. Super so damn weird. Oh, God. There, we are there.
It's me,
Estamos ready.
Mario.
Okay, vamos a jugar Super Mario 64.
Press start to play.
It is time to play some Super Mario 64. Vamos a quitarle un poquitito aquí esto. Ok, me pueden escuchar, ¿verdad? Me pueden escuchar todo bien, perfecto. Necesito saber, ¿por qué no me pueden poner la...
¿Solo Game Bowser? Start to play.
¿Por qué no me está dejando jugar? ¡Ah! Ok. Ok, let me start using... Ahora estamos. Ah, es que tengo que hacer los controles. LOL. Ok, vamos a ir a distraer acá en lo que yo hago esto. ¿Qué? Ok, digital pad.
Press start to play. One second, brother. 1 second. All right, I'm trying to get this DualSense controller to fucking work. No entiendo por qué no me está entrando el control. Oh my god. Ajá. One second, brother. 1 second.
It's me, Mario! Hello!
Oh, okay, 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 okay. Hello, Bacon King. How you doing? I'm trying to open up the game. I'm trying to open up the game and make sure that everything's running smoothly. Try to make sure that everything is running smoothly. It's not currently running smoothly. I'm doing my best. Technical. Lots of technical issues. It's okay. It's okay. Everything's fine. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Okay. One second, boys. Hey, yes it was. Yes it was. 1992 is when it was made. A beautiful one. A beautiful year. It's a beautiful year. Beautiful year. Dame un segundito. Ajá. No, this is not what I wanted. Wired. There we go. I'ma get there. I'ma get there. I'ma get there. All right, gentlemen. Unfortunately, I have to. I'm not gonna be able to play the game porque estoy tratando de figure out how to. I'm figuring out how to set up the controller. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate all of your times. But I unfortunately cannot play today. I will figure it out and play it on the next one. Pero I love you guys. I love you guys with a passion. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for being there from the start of the journey. This is the first one of the year. This was a really tough stream to get through, but I feel confident for next time. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all.